Inflation is on the cardiovascular system, on the distribution of blood flow through the heart. So the key anatomical landmarks for the distribution of blood flow begins with what is pictured on the slide, which are the two cardiovascular systems, which is the pulmonary and systemic circuits. So as pictured on this slide, the diagram demonstrates that the cardiovascular system is divided into the pulmonary circuit, which is highlighted in yellow, and the systemic circuit, which is highlighted in blue. So both the lungs and the heart work together in each system to distribute blood flow throughout the heart and body. The process sequence of how the circuits work in the distribution of blood flow will be further explained in the following slides. The key anatomical structures of the heart can be observed in the labelled diagram. As stated by Sladen in 2021, the adult heart is approximately 9 centimetres wide, 13 centimetres top to bottom, and 6 centimetres anterior to posterior. As identified in red, the heart is divided into 4 chambers. The superior chambers are the right atrium and the left atrium. These two chambers are separated by the interatrial atrial septum. There are valves that connect chambers to each other and or to veins and arteries to allow blood flow to continue. The mitral valve connects the left atrium to the left ventricle, while the right atrium connects to the right ventricle by the tricuspid valve. These valves are also identified as the left and right AV valves. Also in red, the inferior chambers of the right and left ventricles that are separated by the interventricular septum. The right ventricle is less muscular than the left ventricle, as this chamber works the hardest by pumping more blood. The aortic valve links the left ventricle to the aorta, whilst the right ventricle is linked to the pulmonary artery via the pulmonary valve. So the sequencing of the blood flow process. So the distribution of blood flow within the two circuits begins with the pulmonary circuit, which carries deoxygenated blood to the lungs, where the blood becomes oxygenated, where it then returns to the heart. Once returned to the heart, the systemic system is utilised and distributes oxygenated blood to the rest of the body. In relation to the heart, the right atrium and right ventricle are part of the pulmonary circuit, whereas the systemic circuit involves the left atrium and left ventricle. The anatomical landmarks that assist the distribution of blood flow throughout the heart are highlighted in the diagram. So the sequence of blood flow throughout the chambers and body begins with deoxygenated blood moving through two veins, the inferior and superior vena cava. The tricuspid valve opens to allow the blood to enter the right ventricle and shuts the tricuspid valve and opens the pulmonary valve when then the right ventricle becomes full and squeezes. The final link of the pulmonary circuit is when the blood flows through the pulmonary artery into the lungs and becomes oxygenated. So now we move on to the systemic circuit, which is where the oxygenated blood travels from the lungs through the pulmonary vein and into the left atrium. The blood travels through the mitral valve and into the left ventricle, where it fills and closes the mitral valve, which opens the aortic valve. The blood leaves the heart through the aortic valve and into the aorta, where it flows to the rest of the body. So on the slide there, it's been numbered of the steps, and that's what's following there. 1 to 11. Then in venous drainage, it's the way the blood moves when exiting an organ. Sladen 2021 states that approximately 90% of the blood from the heart returns to the right atrium via 4 main veins. As highlighted in the diagram supplied by the cardiothoracic surgery department of the Queen's University Hospital, the blood returns via the great cardiac vein, which is highlighted in red. This vein collects blood from the anterior of the heart and moves blood from the apex of the heart toward the coronary sulcus and then onto the coronary sinus, where it empties. The middle cardiac vein collects blood from the posterior of the heart and also carries blood from the apex into the coronary sinus. The left marginal vein, also known as the small cardiac vein, travels from the apex and into the coronary sinus. Coronary sinus is found in the coronary sulcus that collects blood from the 3 previously mentioned veins to empty the blood and into the right atrium. The right atriums are now highlighted there. So the importance of the system, which is cardiovascular system, and the process to health in the body. So the cardiovascular system and distribution of blood flow is an important process in maintaining homeostasis and overall health and well-being of the human body. If blood is not distributed through the heart correctly, the rest of the body can suffer due to lack of oxygenated blood being delivered, or heart attacks or angina can occur, for example, if there are blockages in the heart, particularly the coronary arteries as seen in the diagram below. Thank you.